Hello friends, in this video the topic of discussion is function overloading, which is an example, which is an implementation of the concept of polymorphism, which is one of the essential features of object-oriented programming. And in C++, the concept of polymorphism is being implemented in several ways, out of which function overloading is one of those, or one of the techniques of polymorphism. So what is basically function overloading is that when two or more, excuse me, when two or more functions share a common name, share a particular name, that is the same name for two functions, uh, or suppose two or more functions having the same name, but in terms of the arguments, in terms of the arguments supplied to the function, if the arguments are a bit different from each other in the different cases, in that case we say that the function has been overloaded. That is, the concept of function overloading has been implemented in that type of situation. So how the uh, arguments can be overloaded? The arguments can be, how the arguments can vary, can differ from each other. That is, if we just change the data type of the argument, or if we just change the number of arguments in each of the overloaded functions, we can implement the concept of function overloading. So this function overloading is nothing but an aspect of the polymorphism, which is shown in, which is being applied, or which is implemented in the object-oriented programming with C++. So this function overloading will be explained to you in a bit with the help of an example illustrative program which I have written for you in order to make you go into the details of the concept of the going to the underlying concept of the inline of the overloaded functions or function overloading. So for that we need to open the code blocks first. Yes, we open the code blocks finally, and now we go to the illustrative program to show you the implementation of function overloading. So let's go to this file, function overloading.cbp. So I will explain you line by line. Hash include iostream using namespace std. After that, I have defined a class having the name shape, class shape, which will help us to find the area of suppose the area of a square, and suppose the area of a rectangle, and the area of a circle. So I have defined the function in this way. That is, I have taken two integer variables, int l comma b, and these are private data members obviously of the class shape. And after that I have also declared one float variable r under the private section. Under the public section I have defined a constructor. So this constructor is suppose a default constructor. As you can see that there is no argument with the constructor. The constructor has the same name as the class name, so it is definitely a constructor. And what I have done over here is that by the invocation of this constructor, that is when we go to create any object of this class shape, this constructor will be called, and all the integer and the float variables which have been declared as private data members to this class will be initialized to a value of 0 by this by these expression statements. That is, l is equal to 0, b is equal to 0, and r is equal to 0. So after that I have declared one function over here, that is int area, and within parentheses I have supplied the arguments as int. After that I have defined another function of the same name having the return type different, that is float, and having one argument instead of two arguments which has been used in this function. So here only one argument has been used, here two arguments are used. Here the two arguments are of integer data types, and this one argument is of the float data type. So we can see that the signature of the function is a little bit different, but the name of the function is the same in both the cases. So let's go to see the function definitions which I have written. So suppose this is the function definition of this area function, that is int shape scope resolution operator area int x int y, that is these are the two formal arguments, and these formal arguments, the value of these formal arguments will be used in this function body to find the area of a rectangle. That is int a is the area, area is equal to x star y, and I will return the area by the statement return a to the calling module. After that I have defined the function of this one, that is the second area function, which is nothing but the function to determine the area of a circle, and that will return a float value out of this function. So float shape scope resolution operator, area is the name of the function, and within the parentheses I have supplied one argument of the float data type, that is float z, and in this function body I have taken another variable int a underscore circle, that is the area of the circle. A underscore circle is equal to 3.1415, that is the value of the pi star z into z, that is the calculation pi r square, which is nothing but the area calculation of a circle. After that I have returned this area of the circle by means of this expression statement, return a underscore circle, and the a underscore circle value will be returned to the calling module. After that I go to the main section. See this, what I have done over there. In main section I have taken two integer variables in int l comma b and one float variable of data type, float variable of the name r. After that I have created two instances of the class shape, that is I have created two objects of the class shape, that is one shape is one instance is rectangle and another instance is circle of the class shape. After that I have written like this: cout enter the length, then supplied the length from the keyboard by means of this expression statement, c in extraction operator l. Similarly for this case input of breadth has been taken from the standard input device, c in extraction operator b. cout enter the radius, taken the radius in a similar manner, and after that I have written this line: cout the area of rectangle is rectangle dot area bracket within parenthesis l comma b as the actual argument. So these are the actual arguments which are passed to this function area. This function has the same name as the function in the next line, which has been called as circle dot area with argument as r, but in both the cases we see this function name is the same. So which function is being called by which of these statements? So this is something like this: rectangle dot area with l comma b as actual argument. So this will definitely go to call the area function which has been used for the calculation of the area of a rectangle, because the signature of that function call matches with the signature of this function definition, as there are two actual arguments and here there are two formal arguments. In x the value of l will be copied down, the value of b will be copied down to y, and in this way this function will return the area of a rectangle. So after this in the following line I have written like this: cout the area of a circle is circle dot area with one argument as r, and so this area function matches with the signature of this area function definition, that is float shape scope resolution operator area float z. So there is only one formal argument, here is only one actual arguments, the signature matches between the two, and this value, that is the value of r, will be copied to this formal argument z, and in this way we will be able to calculate the area of the circle and return the area of the circle from this expression statement to the calling module, so that it can be printed from this section of the main section of the program. So after that we are left with nothing but the return 0 statement and the closing brace of the main section, and we will expect the program to behave in the desired manner. That is, it will return the area of a square when we supply two arguments to the function, and when we supply we will be able to see whatever length I have given, I will be giving in the output as an input from the standard input device, and whatever is the input given as the breadth from the standard input device will be multiplied to give the area of the rectangle from this area function, from the first area function, which has been defined above this one, that is this one. Let's go a bit above this one. So after that, whatever is the value of R being supplied as the input from the standard input device, when we go to run the program, we'll supply one R value from the standard input device, and it will pass on as a radius as an actual argument to this function circle.area, that is this function, and it will return the area of the circle by means of this calculation 3.1415 star z star z. So let's see whether the program runs in the desired and expected manner. So let's go to build and run. Enter the length. So we see that we are getting a prompt of entering the length. We'll suppose we'll enter the length as 5. Enter the breadth. Suppose I'm going to enter the breadth as 4, and then enter the radius. Suppose I'm going to give the radius as suppose 3. So let me see what is given over here. The area of a rectangle is 20, that is 5 4s are 20, and the area of the circle is 28, that is pi r square will give a calculation of 28, and that will be the area of the circle, and this will be the area of the rectangle. So we see that the program has run in the desired manner. So whatever is being expected out of this program, we see the execution has been done in the expected manner. So one thing I want to make a little bit of amendment, because I think this function is going to calculate a float value, and the return type is float. So this function, this will be float, in order to make it a bit precise. So suppose, let me see what is the output from here. Yes, enter the length 5, enter the breadth 4, enter the radius 3. We are giving the same value as in the previous run. Let me see, here we get the perfect result. That is, the area of the rectangle is 20, because 5 into 4 is 20, and 3.1415 into 3 into 3 gives this value 28.2735. We get the exact calculation of the area of the circle, because earlier we have used an integer value for the radius, integer data type for the radius, which was not giving the perfect result. It was truncating this 0.2735 portion to give this give the answer as 28. That was also good, but that was not precise. So this is the precise calculation, because we have supplied the a underscore circle variable as a float variable, in order to get the perfect calculation, get the exact calculation of the area of the circle from this program. So still I think I'm able to make you understand the concept of function overloading with this simple illustrative program. And still, if you have any doubts and queries in your mind regarding this program, you can well post your doubts and queries into the comment section below, so that I can address them. Thanks for watching this video, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks again.